the Final Foreskin. Hey, today, a chance for the legendary coaches to add, or to write, if you will, to their Final Four resumes. And while we're talking Final Foreskin, and they're going to write, I guess you could call these coaches circumscribers. Anyway, Louisville and Michigan State, Rick Pitino, 9 times he's been to the Final Four. He's got 2 rings, and this is ground control to Major Tom. 6 Final Fours for him, 1 ring. That's the 2:30 game. The Cardinals are led by the great Harold, who's going to be going out to the NBA after this season. Michigan State, the trifecta of Dawson, Valentine, and T. Trice. You know, I got to tell you something about Travis Trice, and I'm not afraid to tell you. 3 months ago, I wouldn't have given you much for this guy. The little guard, quickness, but wasn't really playing all that well. Wasn't really showing he could shoot. Last 14 games, he's been averaging better than 18 points a game. He, as much as anybody, responsible for Sparty to be on the brink of yet another Final Four. And while we're talking about Final Four, Wisconsin will play Kentucky, 2nd straight year in the Final Four next week. That after, you know what, you got to give it up for Decker, and you got to give it up for Kaminsky. Combined for 56, and if they can beat Kentucky next week, you really got to give it up for them. They beat Arizona, and how about the Wildcats? Survived the scare. You know, if Grant for Notre Dame hit the 3-pointer at the buzzer, the world would have changed. As it is, Kentucky's undefeated hopes of winning the championship for the first time in 39 years that a club would do it, still intact, and give it up for Coach Cal. It'll be his 7th Final Four appearance. He's got a ring too. Elsewhere in college basketball, Rick Barnes, Texas coach, last 17 years, fired today. They've made only 1 Final Four while he was in Longhorn land. Rumored to get that job, Wichita State's Greg Marshall or Shaka Khan Smart from Vacom. Hey, NBA, how about Dub Nation? Golden State, a record franchise 60th win last night. Yep, another 25 for Steph. They beat Milwaukee, and Oak City's MVP candidate Russell Westbrook poured in 37 while they lost to Utah. They now, Oak City, and of course Durant is out for the year, lead for that final 8th playoff spot in the West, and they're like 42-31. Got a 2.5 game lead. If they don't get it, no MVP for Westbrook, although he's been absolutely, as you well know, phenomenal. No doubt about it. Oh, by the way, getting back to Texas, just thought we'd throw this in. Rick Barnes is getting fired. One of the great recruits in the country, fellow from Saginaw, Arthur Hill, Eric Davis, signs up to play for Texas next season. Don't know if that's going to be intact now. All right, NHL, Ranger goaltender Henrik Lundqvist back between the pipes. For the first time since February yesterday, his squad got beat by Boston 4-2. Nash got his 40th goal. Cam Talbot, Lundqvist's backup, has been brilliant while Henrik has been out. And as you probably do know, maybe you don't, it's hockey. I didn't. The Rangers in Montreal fighting it out for that top seed in the East Conference of the NHL. And finally in golf, Jimmy Walker, you know, Johnny's brother, Jimmy Walker, takes a 4-shot lead in today's final round of the Texas Open in San Antonio. He's leading the best 21-year-old player in the world, Jordan Spieth, by the 4-shot lead. Jimmy Walker, got to tell you about him. If he wins today, it'll be his 5th win in the last 2 years. Jimmy Walker, Kid Dynamite. Who knew? Enjoy the games today. Go, Sparty. Green, white, make it happen. We'll see you next time right here on The Walk. Just got a call from a very, very irate bunch of Blue Vayner fans, or Blue Devil fans. Duke said, hey, Art, how come you didn't mention anything about the other half of the Final Four? I was so hung up over Smarty. Apologies to Blue Devil Nation. How about Coach K? You have to give it to him. He's got 4 rings. And today, if his squad can beat Gonzaga, who's never made it to a Final Four, it'll be Coach Mike Krzyzewski's 12th trip to the Final Four, and only one other guy has ever done that, and you know who that would be, the Wizard of Westwood, one John Wooden of UCLA. That's the later game, Duke and Gonzaga. How could I leave out Blue Nation? Okay, I'm done. I apologize. Have a good one. Enjoy the games, and we will see you, I mean it, the next time right here on The Walk.